Hello, we are live. We are so excited to see everyone here on this webinar, this informative webinar between music and memory and the music therapy community. Rochelle Norman and I are honored to host Dan Cohen for the music therapy community to open up this this line of communication. So I want to ask you while you're watching, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? I'm in San Diego, Rochelle is in Kansas City, and Dan is in New York City. So we've got the whole United States covered on our end. But we'd love to hear where you're tuning in from and what you would like to walk away with from this webinar. Why are you here? We're excited you're here, and we can't wait to dig right in. So the purpose and the goal of this really is to open up the lines of communication, let you know what's going on with music and memory, and also just have this dialogue between the field and music and memory. So first of all, I want to introduce Dan Cohen. Like I mentioned, he's coming from New York City. He's an MSW, and he's the founding director of Music and Memory, Inc. He combines his extensive background in high-tech training, corporate sales, and software applications with social work and specializing in vocational rehabilitation and community service organizing. A former consultant and trainer for the U.S. Department of Education, he has helped colleges, universities, and communities nationwide to apply best practices in community service learning programs. Mr. Cohen also worked for the Long Island Regional Advisory Council on Higher Education, coordinating the efforts of volunteer and community service programs on 17 college and university campuses, serving about 200 community agencies. He earned his MSW from Adelphi University, an MA in Professional Studies from Long Island University, and a BS in Psychology from Hofstra University. So we will bring him in just a second and give him the floor and ask him a bunch of questions. But I also, before we move on, I want to also introduce Rochelle Norman, just so you know who everybody is here. Rochelle Norman, MA MTBC, is the founder of Soundscaping Source, where her mission is to bring meaningful music experiences to older adults and their caregivers all the way to end of life. Rochelle has been in clinical practice as a music therapist since 2004, and she maintains a private practice in Kansas City, where her team serves older adults in senior living and hospice. Rochelle is on the faculty of St. Mary of the Woods College, one of my favorite places, and is in demand as a speaker, consultant, and staff trainer on topics related to music and elder care. She's passionate about empowering music therapists in her work with older adults and as business owners. So check out soundscapingsource.com to learn how to get Rochelle's help as a mentor and find a ton of great resources on music with older adults. Okay.
Yay, and I get to introduce Kat Fulton, MMMTBC. She's the founder of musictherapyed.com, which is the premier website for online continuing education in music therapy. You can check out the blog there for a ton of free stuff that helps you to improve your skills and advance in your career as a music therapist. She's also the founder of Sound Health Music, which is a private practice in San Diego. Her motto, I love this, it's be well, feel good, and make music, right? That's what it comes down to. With a master's in music therapy from the Florida State University, she holds high standards for scientific research and maintains a practice that is infused with the latest evidence-based techniques and strategies. Her personal mission that seeps through the work of her companies is to help music therapists to feel like the leaders they are in healthcare. And I know that's why all of you are here, because you are leaders and you are collaborators and you want to know how we can work together as organizations, because we know that once we collaborate, once we join forces, that we're going to make a big difference for older adults, caregivers across the country, and that's really what all matters here. Okay. So while we're doing introductions, I've seen that we've had a lot of people chat into the chat box there of who you are and where you're coming from. We're seeing people from all over, Spokane and Denver and Australia, Milwaukee, Fort Collins, Pennsylvania. Wow, Caribou Coffee in Minneapolis, that's great. Akron, Ohio, Nacogdoches, Texas, I even know how to pronounce that, and Rockville, Maryland. So we're from all over the place, and I am so excited to have all of you here. This is a really exciting conversation that we're having. I know that a lot of music therapists have already been working really hard on collaborating with music and memory, both working with the organization and then working with music and memory programs in the communities that they serve. So At this time, if you would please say hello in the chat box and identify your role or your connection to music and memory if you are on the AMTA work group. Okay, type into the box if you're in the AMTA work group. Or if you're a state point of contact for music and memory. These are some of our kind of official folks that have connected with the Music and Memory Organization and have been doing a lot of really good work on behalf of our profession. Cool, and while we wait for you to type in, let's see, we also want to know if you are already running a music and memory program in your community, or if you're serving as a consultant on a music and memory program. Go ahead and type that into the box too. Okay, so I'm seeing Jennifer Geiger, that's our AMTA president. She initiated the AMTA work group in 2014, and you guys, Jennifer has been tireless in working with music and memory and informing music therapists. Erin Spring is the co-chair of the Music and Memory AMTA work group. Erin, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, and then let's see, we've got Lisa in Milwaukee, some of the facilities where she goes has part of the Music and Memory program. Sherry is a music therapist who sees hospice patients in facilities that are interested in music and memory. Lisa is working to get music and memory into the community. Got Barbara Royer here, who's on the AMTA work group. Let's see, Jennifer Geiger's a rock star, absolutely. Ray is going to be consulting soon, that's wonderful. Allison's consulted briefly with the PACE facility and would love to do more. Kathy Brown has worked with people for a long time. Tom Brevka is a music and memory facilitator in Greenfield, Wisconsin, a music therapist. 60 iPods, 36 participants. How great is that? All these people getting music. Wonderful. So we have a great group of people here. It's not just me and Kat, not just me and Kat and Dan here. We've got a bunch of people here with a lot of experience to share. So I do want to say that Kat and I are here to facilitate a conversation, to facilitate some collaborating and community building. We don't have all the answers. I don't think any of us have all the answers when it comes to the very best way for our organizations to work together and for music therapists and music and memory to collaborate. But we're really eager to help all of us to grow and develop in this way so that we can help, again, those older adults and their caregivers to access music all the way to the end of life. That's what it's about, and that's what we're here for. All right? Now, one more housekeeping thing is that we're going to be dropping some resources, some links into the chat box as we go along. So you're going to be seeing some links to give you some resources to help you as a consultant on the program and to help you if you are currently working in a community that has music and memory. We're going to be shooting a lot of links in there that hopefully will help you as you work in this program. All right? Okay, Kat, take it away.
Great. And if you're tuning into the recording, then you can see the links below the video. So I'm going to start by asking Dan a question. So Dan, if you can just, you know, many of us haven't heard your story or how you got started. How did this whole music and memory revolution begin anyway? You come from the computer industry, right?
Yes, that's true. So first I want to thank you very much. I'm really honored to be on your podcast, or it's not really a podcast, your webinar, and I'm really glad everybody is tuned in, and I'm really hopeful we can really cover a lot of ground here and just have a good two-way discussion. So how did I start? So yes, you know, I've spent I have a whole career in technology companies, and so in 2006 I was listening to a journalist on the radio talking about how iPods were ubiquitous, and I thought, okay, all the kids have them, a lot of us older adults, but it just didn't seem accurate to say that that was true for anybody in any sort of long-term care setting. And so I Googled iPods in nursing homes, and you know, with 16,000 nursing homes, I couldn't find one in the U.S. that was using iPods for the residents. And so I called up, I live on Long Island, I called a 600-bed county facility near me and spoke to the Director of Therapeutic Recreation, and I said, you know, I know music's your #1 recreational activity. She did have a music therapist, still does on staff, 14 activities, folks, but and plenty of music, live music going on, but can we see if there's any added value if we were to totally personalize the music? And so they said, sure, come on in. I came in with my laptop and a few iPods, and it was just an instant hit with the residents. They just thought it was really cool to have a lot of music in the palm of your hand and to hear their favorite stuff. And so, but I'd come back every couple of weeks. I was a volunteer. I wasn't in there. They didn't know me. All the HIPAA stuff applied, and I would just hone the lists, right? I wouldn't just, if they told me what they liked, and give it to them and be done. I'd come back every couple of weeks to just empower them to really speak up for what was just so-so music, so that after 2 or 3 months or so, we, every song on the list would be something that really resonated with them, either picking them up or calming them down. And that's how that went.
What year was that you got started as a volunteer at that facility?
2006. So it's actually 10 years right now, this May.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. What a journey, right? Did you ever think that it would turn into something that it's turned into?
Well, it's really interesting. I knew right away that I had something, just the way, well, you guys know you have something there. And but most people didn't really pay me much attention at all. So, but I just enjoyed really watching residents light up to the music, and so I just thought I'd just keep trying until somebody listened and paid attention to this. And so after 18 months of that, every 2 weeks going to the nursing home, I came across a family foundation in New York where the head of the foundation, Don Rubin's mom, died from Alzheimer's, and his mom had around-the-clock care, and the only thing that changed her mood was some music box. And so he wanted to support something around that, and so that enabled me to roll out 200 iPods to 4 New York City nursing homes and have the 33 professional staff across those homes give me feedback on that. And so that's where we, found out everything that you guys already know.
Right. That's awesome. So I know it's been a long journey over these 10 years then, and things have started, you started so small and now it seems so huge, and it's really great. What is your count now? I think at the end of the movie Alive Inside, I had a number for how many nursing homes had this program, but how many is it now?
So it's now 2,800 plus.
That's wonderful.
And it's a combination: skilled assisted living, hospice, home care, adult day programs, and hospitals.
Great, great. So what's your vision then? I mean, what's your ultimate goal?
The goal is to just make this a standard of care, that everybody knows of the power of music, and everybody takes the time to make sure everybody in their family and people have it themselves. People, it's really funny. So I'm 64 years old, and but if I look at a room of people over 50 and ask how many people have their own music set up, very few people really do. So if they don't have it set up for themselves, it's going to be harder for them to set it up for those around them. So, and the more people have their music when they're home and healthy, then the more likely will be successful when they enter the healthcare system at any point.
Have you always had an affinity for music? Have you always just liked music?
Not, people ask me, well, I'm a regular guy on music, 60s stuff. I mean, that's, my main claim and stuff through the years, but there's no special thing. I stopped playing piano after I bombed out on doing the overture and Sound of Music junior high school play, and I was just, that was it. I was done. Too much pressure in front of 500 people. So, but no, I'm just a normal music person.
Right on. So, another goal of this webinar series is to show music therapists the opportunities that exist with the music and memory program, because music therapists are out in the field. A lot of us are on staff at facilities, or a lot of us contract with different facilities. And you and I and Rochelle have had conversations about this before, and I'm curious if you don't mind entertaining the question of what does it look like, or how do you feel about a music therapist coming in as a consultant for this program, or as an advisor, or as someone who can offer insight?
We love that. I mean, I love music therapists. I mean, really, when I started doing this, people said in New York, oh, when my question was, because they didn't connect me with, they didn't send me to a locked unit in this nursing home to work with folks there, but so my question was would this work with folks with dementia? And so as I bounced around, people said, well, you've got to talk to Dr. Connie Tomeno, right? So I did, and so really right in the beginning, she said, yeah, you're on the right track with all of this, and so she really put me sort of in context about music therapy and music therapists, and how this was really just complemented really well. And for those music therapists who are really interested in seeing the music really leveraged, used, just adopted in the community, this was a great thing. So the opportunity, so I've always been really eager to have music therapists from day one involved. I guess kind of was like number one, and so in these 20 to 100 facilities, by just the natural sort of numbers, there are, I think, over 50 now board-certified music therapists who work in those, either employed by or consulting, and so that's great. I mean, that's been great for the facilities they work in. They bring that extra level of expertise, stroke, TBI, PTSD, all the stuff we're not doing, and they are just able to extend and enhance the impact. And it also helps as an advisor on all the questions that come up around music with everything else. So they take on a sort of a go-to role instead of being sort of a siloed professional therapist kind of role. And so it just elevates their visibility because everybody wants their advice on this stuff, and people get it. To me, the opportunity, the biggest issue that I've heard many times from music therapists is that they're always repeating themselves in terms of what the value is, of music therapy and what is the power of music kind of thing, and what do you really do. And so the movie really answers that question, and to me that just blows apart your biggest obstacle. So the opportunities are really across the board. Once people get it, then they're not going to ask you that question. Then they're just going to ask, how can we apply your skill set here? And so that's my hope, is that together we can really generate a much greater impact on the populace than either of us can alone. And that's, I think, just working true. So the feedback from the music therapists is they're having a great time because, you're limited to how many people you can see in a week and how many groups you can run. And this allows you to extend and enhance your impact on just your own stuff by just using this recorded music and having it complement the rest of your work.
Absolutely. And just to add real quick, Rochelle and I were talking about this earlier today, how a lot of times music therapists aren't sure how to start a conversation with a long-term care facility about their services. Well, gosh, I mean, Alive Inside or, Music and Memory is a great conversation starter, right? Hey, did you ever see that Netflix film, Alive Inside? It's just a great way to start the conversation and kind of frame it and say, I'm a professional who, I'm a subject matter expert on this, and I can help you go really deep into a music program to really serve your residents in the best way possible. So I really see it as a win-win-win-win-win-win. So
see, I think the sooner, what we're finding is just everything there's nothing I'm going to say about what I do that it's all new to me and not to you. But in terms of, nurses in Ohio that are using it to help with swallowing difficulties, and they're tracking it. In Wisconsin next month, that's going to be the nursing home that's doing this. They're coming in. That's what they're talking about to all the nursing homes that run Music and Memory that have a monthly call with all the homes. Pain management piece, used, terribly underutilized. Hospitals and just how they mishandle people with cognitive impairment, and just 70% become delirious, and they drug them up with Haldol, and all this stuff is unnecessary. So and also as this permeates the system, people get the idea. There's just when I say there are a lot of opportunities, and you're asking about opportunities, I'm not saying, there's money dripping, everywhere, but the opportunity is there, and the money will flow because of your value proposition has just gone up.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I want to emphasize something that you've said, which is that Music and Memory is solving a marketing problem for us to a large extent, in that before, where I would tell stories to try to explain how music works, and I would try to get people into groups to see people with dementia, interacting with music and that kind of thing. Now that Henry video on YouTube, I send that to people all the time. I send it in an email and say, this is what I do every day, right? This is how people respond to music, and it opens that door, and then it takes, then I can take that marketing relationship, that business development relationship, to the next level that much faster. That's been really helpful. In terms of other ways that Music and Memory is helping with some marketing problems for music therapists too, is that I'm finding a lot of communities are wanting to show the Alive Inside documentary as a special event, and then they're inviting me in to come and watch the movie again. You know, I'm up to like 6 or 7 times, I think, and then to lead a discussion or to lead some music making, and that gives me as a music therapist the opportunity to talk about what we do as music therapists, what I do in my business, to market to that community, and to market to potential private clients, and then it helps them to understand better the benefits of music and all of that. So it's really opened up a lot of opportunities in my practice.
Yeah,
Well,
can I just emphasize, Libby just wrote the Henry video. The Henry video is the reason that I have my current job, she says, by the way. So that's good. You know, and I think there are a lot more success stories out there than that too. But yeah, I mean, just it's really fantastic what opportunities can come of this. So.
Yeah. And I also wanted to, in the chat box here, we also have a comment from Tom, and I happen to know this is Tom in Wisconsin, who is running a music and memory program at his place of employment. And he says that some of the benefits he's seeing are that there's 24/7 music available, and that there's a music therapist who's helping to organize, assess, implement, and lead. Of course, Tom, I imagine that frees up some more of your time to do music therapy, right? Because you're not spending as much time with people who just need some music and a little bit of focused attention.
Laura also says, my current position as an MTBC in a long-term care facility was created after the facility saw Alive Inside.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, so I think we're really hitting on why collaboration and partnerships are so important now, because this is a time when we've all heard about the gray tsunami, about all these older adults who are coming, you know, the baby boomer population who's going to be hitting all of our nursing facilities, all the people that are going to be having dementia, and the numbers are just growing. And music therapists, we do great work, but our numbers are small, and there are huge swaths of the country where there aren't any music therapists to serve those older people that need access to music. And so Music and Memory is doing some great work in getting the basic music experiences, that fixing that technical problem of getting people some basic technology so that they can listen to the music that they love. And then music therapists, you know, we're coming in and helping to take people to a deeper level when we can and when we're available. And then as our profession grows, as the baby boomers age, everything's going to grow and get bigger, and it's exciting, and it's also a little bit overwhelming because it's such a big problem to solve with all these folks that really need us, right?
See, the public, as the public, you know, sees Henry or sees the movie or just sees the coverage. It's the coverage, you know, that's been just, the media's been very generous. So that's creating an awareness and a demand on all of these long-term care facilities. You know, people are coming in and saying, could you do this with music? And, you know, again, it's just building this a foundation to build upon. So once they get here, we're going to want to move it there. And as we keep getting feedback, even from all the music therapists, gee, and here's what I did with this, and here's what I did, then we can say, well, look at these homes, the homes with the music. I'd love to do a cross-section look at the homes with the music therapists and what outcomes have they generated that the other 16,000 homes can replicate if they were to have a music therapist.
Right.
So if we can bottle that little piece of information, there is your, you know, it's sort of step one was, yes, Alive Inside Henry, but step two is quantifying impact of the music therapist in any kind of healthcare environment, and then we show that to the rest of that system. Hospices across the country, hospitals across the country, home care across the country, skilled facilities, assisted living. So there's like 60,000 facilities that we're talking about, and that's just the U.S. Australia has 2,700 nursing homes, 350,000 people with dementia. You know, the numbers, I mean, are just everywhere, and the need is the same everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just drop in? There are almost 100 people here live on the call. This is pretty unprecedented for our normal webinars that we do. So thanks everyone so much for joining us. There are almost 100 people on the call. Just wanted to point that out and say, hooray for music therapy and music and memory. Yay.
So great. Well, I'm seeing, I mean, we've got some questions flying by in the chat box here, so
Oh yeah, someone was asking if they wanted a viewing of Alive Inside in their community, then who do they contact, Dan? They go to you can find the film and then request for it to be shown, correct?
City Drive Films is a distributor. So you just Google City Drive Films, and there's a drop down. You pick, they have different films that they distribute, and just go there, and then you fill out a form and just say, I'd like to do a screening. And then there's a license fee. It's very reasonable, and you're good. They also have this thing called a license in perpetuity. So it's $399, and it's for a facility. It's only for facilities. It allows you to show it as much as you want, families in service training, but it also allows one public screening at any size venue. And so facilities have been doing fundraisers, raising $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, you know, that way for their programs and other things.
Right on. Right on. Very good. And we got a question asking, why did you name the program Music and Memory specifically?
You know, that's a really good question. I didn't. My board chair really did. It was his brainstorm, and I said, but we're not just doing memory. But, you know, it was an alliteration. It sounded good. In the world of long-term care, memory is, you know, I guess the #1 issue, I guess, is a category. I mean, physical issues, I guess, is bigger. But, you know, just more than half the people have dementia. So that was the reason. I mean, I didn't really pick the name, honestly, but my board chair did. But, and it you know, it sticks.
Yeah, it sticks totally. And but the trick to know is that you're not just serving people who have Alzheimer's dementia. Right. You're also So that's
really for everybody. Music. I mean, it's kind of a marketing thing. Also, if we said we were helping people be less depressed, that would not grab the public's eye. That would not grab the public's eye. You know, so and memory, music. I mean, the brain. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, everybody. It's for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I know that you've shared some dreams and visions with us about intergenerational programs and using it in schools and things like that. So that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all comes about.
We're really looking forward to really mass community involvement. So, you know, nursing homes, people with Alzheimer's, even if somebody with dementia is at home, people tend to avoid them, right? Fearful, and then they go to a facility, and then that sort of seals the deal. They're not going to visit. Oh, they're being taken care of, and it's their own issue. But the music helps break the ice with youth. So it gets them in. So we have different programs. We've spoken to 25,000 future health professional high school students in Texas. We've got a program in Wisconsin. We're matching 37 high schools with 37 high schools and colleges, and then we're making sort of standards for that, and then we're going to roll that out statewide, and then we're going to the other states are all watching, and so a lot of stuff's going to happen. So in terms of my the opportunity here is now think in terms of, well, how do you run a team of students who come in, say, you know, and so what does that mean? You know, how can you support them? It's just one more value add to the job description.
Right. And I have to say that, you know, Music and Memory, you guys are actually a pretty small organization in terms of numbers of people, right? I mean, there's you and there's 4 regional directors. I think I see Letitia in the chat box, actually.
Great.
So it's a pretty small organization, but here we are, this army of music therapists, and our numbers are, you know, we're small, but, you know, we are great people to help all of these communities troubleshoot some of the problems that come up when they're implementing music and memory in the real world. I know that the regional directors, the music and memory staff are really busy trying to help people figure out how to make things work and how to keep programs sustainable and how to, you know, the best practices for training the right people and getting buy-in from the nursing staff and from the different areas. And that is something that we as music therapists can help with, because we're coming into these communities and we see how things work. And so this gives us the opportunity to have an impact beyond that 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day that we're doing music therapy sessions, where we can make sure that these music is available to our clients throughout the week.
So we have Dan, did you want to speak to that? Sorry.
That's fine. No, she said, Rochelle said it perfectly.
Okay, perfect. So I do have a question here from Allison. Music and Memory is a facility certified program, but as a therapist who went through the webinars in New York, then moved to Ohio, and is now in a different facility with Music and Memory, is there a training for the therapist to obtain so that if we move jobs and get contracted to another facility. And I believe that, Dan, right now the vision is to keep it a facility certified program. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
So, so that's right. Because someone's been through the program, doesn't mean they can go and say, okay, I've just certified you because I was certified, themselves. So each facility needs to go through it themselves. Our goal there is, well, a couple things happen. So people that have gone through the program over the years, as the program evolves and as our materials evolve and approaches evolve, and the size of the rollout teams in every nursing home is now larger. It used to be maybe one person would take the training, but now, like in California, the rollout they're doing now, 300 homes there, really requiring a team of 5, 2 co-leads. And so we really want the co-leads right now to be director of nursing, director of therapeutic recreation, certainly can be director of music, the music therapist if they're there. And so we're really, I forgot what the question was as I just ramble around here.
You're really focusing on like the facility. It's a facility certified.
Yes, so absolutely.
Not an individual.
Facility organization, yes. And so we want people to go through it again, but this time, if you've already been through it and you know all about it, that's fine. But you go to a new place, you now redo it and have everybody go through it. It's different when you say, let's all do this, as opposed to having everybody go through the process and you're bringing in sort of the movie and the outside influence and everything that's going on. Maybe the state is funding it. It just helps you to get that team together much quicker, because otherwise you're siloed really quick. We got this silo thing in facilities, and so we want to bust that apart. And the way to do it is to really just from
the top down. From the top down. I mean, and that's a smarter way to do it anyway, if you think about it. So you've got this program and you want it to be vast and you want it to serve lots and lots of people. So everybody, just so you know, just so you're on the same page with how the certification process works for each facility, it is a facility certified program. You cannot become certified in music and memory as an individual. So just to give you a little bit of foundational information, if you're in-house, if you're staff at a facility, then you can encourage your facility to become a music and memory certified facility. And when that happens, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, there are 5 people in-house on the team that go through the certification process. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, 5, there's actually no limit. It's a minimum of 5, and so interdisciplinary. So it could be, yes, social work, TR, nursing, nursing administration, and a CNA, pastoral care, mental health. I mean, but certainly as a basic, 3, I would say, and somebody from administration, because this really requires for it to work buy-in from all management. Okay, it's not just, it's different. It's not like, oh, you do it, right, because you're the music therapist or you're the director of TR, life enrichment activities. It's no, if they do that, that's really, it's a couple of strikes against the program lasting, because that person's very busy, or that person's going to leave, and then everything comes to a halt. So, that's why, for sustainability purposes and just the vibrancy of the rollout, sustainability and the ability to go beyond that initial whatever small number of iPods, because our goal is to make this universally available. Just like everybody gets a TV set, well, they should really have their music, right?
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I think I see the rationale, and I understand why it makes more sense that way, because if we're serving the residents through this program, the residents or the patients or what have you, if we're serving the individuals, the end user individuals, and they're number one in our mind, they're most likely going to stay, if in long-term care. Okay, long-term, meaning that person is staying there for a long time. I mean, we want to serve those people through the certification program, whereas thinking about, servicing individuals, that's not really seeing the end user. I mean, it makes sense to me. I get it. From the top down, not from the bottom up, and it makes sense. So thank you for that clarification. And there's something that you emphasize, which is getting the director of nursing on board, the DON on board with every facility that is getting certified, and that is very important to you, right?
That's really important. I'm even telling nurses this is a nursing intervention, because all of music therapists, activities folks, they're not there at 2 in the morning when somebody's, wandering, screaming, whatever. And so if the nurses have the attitude of, well, this is not my job, then nothing will happen. They'll ask for Seroquel in the morning. You know, that's a failed approach. And so this is, you know, the nursing staff is in New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, where they have 8 hospitals running music and memory. They have a really tight team of nurses and the rec therapists. And so, and the system has a number of music therapists, and maybe one or more on the phone. And so, the music therapists have been brought in as advisors and consultants. And wow, how do we really ratchet this up? Mm-hmm. Okay, what do we need to do different here? You know, how do we deal with people with multiple medical complexities that are not responding to the music? I mean, so there's just a lot of good stuff going on.
There's a lot of great stuff, yeah. Jill, do you want to say something here, or do you want me to keep going?
Keep going. I'm trying to find a guide here for someone that asked.
Sure, okay, great. So, you know, another thing that we promised to deliver in this webinar series are updates, so that everyone can be updated on the state rollouts. And as the state rollouts go out, you know, what do those look like? What do those mean to you in your communities? And so I'm going to share a couple of links in the chat box as well. And like I said, all these links that we're sharing in the chat box will be available under the recording of this video when we're done with the broadcast. So just so you can keep updated on the state rollout, some states have really good websites that are informative. I encourage you to visit these state websites, find the contact information for the administrator or the program coordinator, and then ask them to get on the email list so that you're updated when the state rollouts happen. Okay, so I've got a couple of links to share with you right now. We've got good links for California, Texas, Ohio, and Wisconsin. I've also got some information for you about Connecticut. There is a rollout, but there's no link just yet. Louisiana also has no link, but is rolling out. Utah has an individual coalition that has adopted music and memory. The specifics, you know, this is why this is a webinar series. It's ongoing, so we'll have more information in 2 months for the next one. You know, New Mexico, there's talk around it, but nothing quite yet. But anyway, I've got some really good links to share for you. If you're in California, then make sure to visit this link, have your facilities visit this link, get to know the program coordinator so that you can be updated on the state rollout there. And I'll hand it over, while I'm sending out these links, I can hand it over to Rochelle to continue to dialogue with Dan here.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting lots and lots of questions in the chat box, and I'm going to tell you all that we are going to go through this chat log and write things down, and a lot of this we'll be able to cover in future webinars. This is the first of an ongoing series of conversations. There's a lot to tease out here, and I'm excited that we've got so many questions because there's so much interest here. So, Dan, could you speak to how music and memory is helping people age in place? It's a question that's coming up here.
Sure. So, in Toronto, the Alzheimer's chapter up there, anybody who's diagnosed can get a free iPod Shuffle, money for iTunes cards, and help. And they're doing this for 10,000 families, so 10,000 iPods. And they've, I think they passed 3,500 families. And it's because it's sort of changed 180 what the caregiving experience is. So in terms of aging in place, what they find is because of this 180-degree change. So the number one reason why someone tells their mom, I told you I'd keep you home forever, but you know, I can't handle it anymore. I'm going to put you in a nice place. And so with the music, if you know, and that's because mom is agitated, maybe hit her daughter or whatever, and so that happens. So, but because you know, behaviors are drastically reduced, or sundowning is just almost eliminated or reduced so much that someone can stay home longer. So that's really, I guess, the number one piece about the aging in place. You know, you have husband and wife at home, one's listening to their music, they might be sharing the music, but they can both have their headphones on. But what people report is that they did the first 500 families, the Cornell Depression and Dementia Scale, the Caregiver Distress Scale, both statistical significance in terms of improvements, reduction of depression, and huge improvements in terms of caregiver stress reduction and caregiver confidence increase. So, caregivers will report, I could go to the other room of the house, not worry while my spouse is sitting there listening to music. I could make a call, I could have a cup of coffee. They're not going to run out the door, they're not going to go into the kitchen and turn on the stove. So all of these things lend themselves. So I don't have stats on how long, but I'd love to do a good longitudinal study on that.
Great. Yeah, and I heard, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth with the chat box, and one interesting partnership I've heard about, a couple, is in terms of aging in place. And in my area, in Kansas City, the first place that got certified was the Alzheimer's Association. And so they've been giving iPods out to people in the community. In fact, my daycare provider, her husband has early onset Alzheimer's, and she was offered one through the Alzheimer's Association, which I thought was cool. And then another really cool collaboration I've heard of was with the public libraries. I think that was in Long Island. Is that right?
Yeah, there are 12 libraries and growing. Basically, they view this as if somebody has dementia in their community and they can no longer read, certainly they can no longer enjoy an audiobook. They still consider them their patrons, as they call them, and they will they'll do a lifelong loan of a personalized playlist. They'll have high school students in the library create that, load it, create it, whatever, and give it to them.
Great. Yeah, so many interesting collaborations going on.
I mean, it's my thing also that the Kansas Alzheimer's chapter, they replicated what was going on in Toronto. They were actually the first in the West to replicate. There are now 28 Alzheimer's support organizations of all kinds. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's a much higher number. It's closer to, I forget what the number is, but there are 15 chapters of the Alzheimer's Society in Quebec. We train them all in French. And so they say that till now, we really haven't done much for the people with dementia at home. We do well by the caregivers. Now we feel we're finally doing something for our caregivers, for the people with dementia via their family members, by giving them the music.
What I'm impressed by is that you have a multi-pronged approach, and you're going after the nursing homes, and you're going after home care, and you're going after Alzheimer's Association, a library. There's so many different ways to reach people.
And the goal is to have the music flowing. So the end goal is music, either the device or the playlist, follows people through the system.
I think that's a beautiful goal. I really hope that happens soon. I want that to happen for the people that I work with, for sure.
Yeah, people put it in their advanced directives. Sometimes elders say, well, I want to make sure, here's the music I hate. Don't ever play it when I lose my cognition.
Right. I have some things I would put on that list.
My dad always says, "Oh, just play Merle Haggard. He'll bring me back. He'll bring me back."
There you go.
Yeah. So great. Great. So we've shared some links, and I kind of tuned out of the conversation. I'm sorry, because I was paying attention to the chat box, Dan. But if there's anything that you think that music therapists should know who work in long-term care that you haven't covered yet, is there anything additional besides what you've shared with us already?
Wow. I would say just raise your hand. I mean, every time I do a webinar and I have 100 plus homes, I mean, I will always talk about, or at every opportunity, music therapist. If you have a music therapist, you're lucky. If you don't have one, hire one, even as a consultant, a few hours a week, few hours a month, just to get them in and get the benefit of that skill set. But if you're already in one, I mean, I'd be glad to talk with anybody, certainly. But raise your hand. Say you want to be in on the team. And they're gonna, I don't know how. I hear different things. Like, what do you have to offer? Well, then, they get it. They have the program. You just have to state your case. But it's not a case. You're not stating it against the typical, we don't get music at all. No, they get music, and they're wondering really, well, what will you add really? Okay, stroke, TBI, PTSD, whatever, and everything else. And this is what I can do, and I can help.
Awesome.
Maybe upgrade materials, better materials, involve the community, the public speaking. Rochelle, I love the, just the tying the alive inside with, encourage people to show it, and you'll come, you'll be the instant panelist, and that's great. And it's great to mix people that are running the program, people really, they have like sort of on the ground, where the rubber meets the road kinds of questions. But I think that's a great combination. You get a lot of people in the room, and then you have this instant audience to talk to. I mean, what beats that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a conversation starter, an opportunity to present. I mean, in fact, when I was talking to Stephanie Hoffman, and so just so everyone knows, Dan's organization, Music and Memory, has 4 regional directors. Okay, so that covered the entire United States, and that doesn't count international stuff that you're up to. But when I was talking to Stephanie Hoffman just yesterday on the phone, or maybe the day before, she said, "Well, I got 3 speaking gigs, but I'm in the car and I'm in between one of them right now." So these these regional directors are amazing resources. Now, I know they're very busy, but I'm letting the music therapy community know that the regional directors get it. The regional directors understand music therapists and understand how we are subject matter experts and advocate for us. So I want everyone to understand that, we're all on the same team. And what Stephanie told me was really exciting. She said, "Oh, I just got done with this presentation, and this lady came up after me and said her daughter is in school for music therapy, and she totally gets it. She's on board. She loved the presentation." And so goodness, if I had someone explaining to my parents what the heck music therapy was when I was in college, boy, so anyway, yeah, it's really a wonderful thing. Rochelle?
Right. Okay, I'm trying to follow the chat box, and it's going by real quick. It's going real quick. One question I saw from Kelly, she said, "What are some of the common obstacles that music therapists are running into with the Music and Memory program, and how do we overcome?" And some people are commenting on getting nursing involved. And Dan, I know that's part of why you're doing this team approach now with the certification. Making sure that you get that team so that you get some of that buy-in from nursing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So, it's funny. There's even one nurse I know. She goes to the computer herself and she creates the playlist herself. She loves it so much. I said, she's the director of nursing in like an 80-bed home. I said, "Don't you have other stuff to do?" She says, "Oh, I no problem. I could do it." She loved it. I've spoken the last 2 years at NADONA, so the National Association of Directors of Nursing Administration and Long-Term Care, and I'm going back again this year. And they asked last year, "Can you, our nurses, can we do a certificate in music and memory for DONs?" And so, so we're going to do a 2-hour thing, just really talk about you need to modify your job description. So this is the job of the nursing assistants. My father-in-law, when he was in nursing home, and of course he had his music, he always did. But when I left, had the iPod sitting in a speaker thing, and the nurse wouldn't touch it. It wasn't her job. So it went till it died. And I had to come in to recharge it, and so it wasn't her job. So that's sort of what we need to change, and because you want to be able, right? We all want to be able to say to staff, "Oh, can you pitch in here? I'm not going to be here all day," and if they're going to have their music and all that. So we're trying to my point is there's a lot of interest there. I just did the closing keynote at AMTA. That's the Association of the Chief Medical Officers of the Nursing Homes in the country in Orlando a couple of weeks ago. And to my delight, it's 1,500 doctors there, and they had an optional, showing Alive Inside at night. I figured maybe 40, 50 people would show. The room was packed with over 250 doctors. And they gave a standing ovation, which I was told, we have never, ever, ever seen doctors give a standing ovation for anything. And so at the conference, and so they get it, they loved it. So let's not leave the doctors out, right? The doctors get it, they love music too, and so the aura is changing. There's an understanding flowing out there. They're hearing about this. They did Medscape. I did an interview with Medscape, which a lot of doctors read, and it's become one of the most frequently read articles. So the word's getting out there, and that's just all making the ground nice and fertile for you. Okay,
Right.
it really is. I mean, I can't get you these jobs, but now that resistance, that wall, you're still going to get it some places, but boy, you can walk around those. That's how I'm seeing it, and it's just going to keep getting that way. At one point, there will be no wall. People will understand what you do. That you'll be brought in. You'll be, hopefully as busy as can be.
Well, we appreciate that. Yeah, we're giving you a round of applause here. Woohoo! Woohoo! Definitely. Rochelle, it's just about time to wrap it up. Do you think, or
yeah.
that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that is just a great kind of like, Dan, you just brought us into the climax of this whole webinar, which is we're creating fertile ground for the music therapy community, and goodness, thank you so much for that. So I love this. I love all that you've shared with us, and your story about how you began, and your vision for the future, and just everything you've got up your sleeve. You're just you are an entrepreneur. So I personally appreciate your energy and your spirit behind everything you do, and there's a why behind everything we do, right? Well, why do we do it? Because we want to help those who need it the most, and I definitely feel like the music therapy community and Music and Memory shares that in common. So I'm looking forward to further exploring ways that we're going to collaborate. So I'm going to ask everybody in the audience, everybody watching in, I'm going to ask you, what is one thing that you can take away from this webinar? We've shared information on state rollouts. We have talked a little bit about finding opportunities. We've talked about collaboration and partnership. We've talked about becoming a consultant. We haven't dug in too deeply, but this is only the first webinar. So I want to know, what is one thing, even a small thing, that you can take away from this webinar? Please share that in the chat box so that we can hear from you. Share any further questions you have. I know we haven't had time to answer them all, but keep them coming because we need content for our next webinar, right? And everyone, please tune into the next Music and Memory and Music Therapy webinar on Thursday, June 16th at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific, where we'll host Stephanie Hoffman, who is a Regional Director of Music and Memory, and she'll share details not only on her state of Texas, but also on other state activity across the United States. And please let the social world know about our webinar series. Share the link with your friends. Pass it around on Facebook. This recording is going to be up on a YouTube channel, and we'll send you the playlist where you can access the recording. Underneath that YouTube video, you'll see all the links written in the description below that. And thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. These are my final words, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Rochelle to say farewell.
Yeah, well, thank you again so much, Dan. Thank you for giving your time to us and to this music therapy community. I know that we all share a passion for making sure music gets to our older adults and their caregivers. And it heartens me to hear that doctors and nurses are so hungry to hear what we have to offer. I feel, I've been doing this for over a decade. I feel like sometimes it feels like you're beating your head against the wall trying to get this message through, and I feel like we're making progress. Collectively, we're making progress on communicating that music is something that makes a difference, that makes a profound difference, and people are hearing it, and that's just exciting to me. So I'm thrilled that we have this collaboration going, that we have this excitement building in the music therapy community and with Music and Memory across the world now. This is all really good stuff, and I'm excited that this was just only the first time that we get to have this conversation.
Well, that's great. Well, I want to thank you both for having me on and allowing me to just answer your questions and everybody's questions about Music and Memory and our collaboration, really, and our partnership. I think it just can only bring good.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.